I watch more news than I should. I really do, as I'm working. And it gets humorous no matter what channel you watch, whether it's Fox or CNN or some of the others. A lot of it's humorous, and we all just sort of pick what is the least undesirable. What's the least of the worst, the best of the worst, don't we? And then we go online. Same thing though, it depends on where you get your news online. You know, I hear people sometimes say, well, I don't watch that crap on TV. I get my news online. Oh, you do? Well, where do you get it? Which website? You know? So it all kind of depends. It's that old confirmation bias thing. We tend to go where we agree, right? That kind of thing. Which reminds me of this commercial I saw. What are they advertising? They're advertising something. Maybe I'll talk with y'all about this. I probably repeat myself. Old guys have a license to do that. But they talk about there's this young person and an old person. Young person says, yeah, I get my news from social media or something like that. You know, as you would expect, you about 18 or something. And the older guy, some gray hair, said, I found I was getting my news. I was only getting news from sources I agreed with. I think that's the line he said. And then they're trying to sell something. I don't know what it is. So I'm sure it's something supposed to be objective or whatever. But I found that I was only getting my news from sources I agreed with. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's kind of what we do. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, no, wait a minute. I'm just getting my news from sources I agree with. The problem there is the word news, isn't it? That's the whole problem with all of it, is most of the information that we're all taking in is not really news, is it? It's not just factual stuff that happens. So I mean, they're right in a way, but that's the problem. News has become just opinions and political, you know, hasn't it? So it's all a spin of some sort. So rather than just news, just what happened, the facts, ma'am, the facts, only the facts. So anyway. But anyway, media, you know, young people, old people, whatever, but especially young folks. My gosh, try not to get hooked in to one camp so tightly that you can't see reality or you can't see anything else. You know, it's so enticing to be a part of a group. I mean, we're all that way, aren't we? You name it, whatever it is, political groups, religion, your neighborhood. We like groups. We like to feel like we belong to something. That's just human nature. And of course that extends to, I think, our political slant and our political bent and our, just any group we become a member of or we tend to support online, social media groups, or just whatever it might be. Political thought, could be a radical group, could be whatever it might be. There's something really rewarding for us in that. And there's something really enticing about that, isn't there? And so, you know, we don't want to feel left out, like we don't belong, like, gosh, everybody else seems to have things all figured out. Man, you know, Joe and Martha and Mary Lou, Elvis, they think this way or that way, and man, they're kind of cool, you know, and they're kind of my age or they're whatever they are. They wear the same clothes I do. And they go to the coffee shop and they talk about this stuff and argue about it some, but yeah, they're really in. They're cool and they think this way. Man, I must just be stupid because I don't necessarily see it that way all the time. I don't know. You know what I'm getting at. Just think for yourself. Was it Emerson said the strongest man is the man who stands most alone? That sounds a little depressing, of course, and it's not just men. But it's just generic for people. But you know, what he was trying to get at was about nonconformity. I think about nonconformity and how we. He also said, whoso must be a man, or whoso is a man must be a nonconformist. Well, he not necessarily was promoting radicalism and that sort of thing, but when we totally conform, we give up our own identity, don't we? Our own individuality, our ability to think about things, you know, for ourselves. You know, so from that standpoint, we do need to be nonconformists, not just society in general. but non-conforming to whatever our peers are trying to convince us of necessarily, right? So I think there's a lot of people who, here I am pontificating again, but they think they're being radical because they don't agree with the establishment or whatever, just like back in the 60s or any time. But yet they're conforming to what their buddies in their class, want. So they're like a robot with them, but because they don't want to be a robot in relation to the bigger picture, I guess. So the point is, don't be a robot with anybody. Think for yourself, and just do what you can to figure things out, do your research, and try not to be influenced overly by non-thinking people. Non-thinking people. Then on the other side of it, you have to be careful, don't you? Because there are people who have a contrarian point of view on everything, just to be different. Just to be different. Because they don't want to feel like they're that robot I was talking about, right? And whatever it is, whether it's with fire, and we see it with everything. Some of the Glock hate comes from that, okay? Hate to bring up Glocks. There are a lot of great guns, but you know what I'm saying, because so many people do like Glocks that a lot of people go the other way just because of that, which is fine, But it's the same with everything, politics, you name it, just to be different. It makes us feel smart. So that's the other side of it. As I'm saying, I feel so much smarter. I can get a lot of self-esteem out of that, can't I? If I think differently, I go a different route than everybody else. All those people are just idiots, I know the truth, So that's why it's a jungle out there. Young people, old people, young people especially. Try to figure things out for yourself. Do some reading. Study history. It's one reason for the freaking Constitution. When you're in doubt about things, the founding fathers, as imperfect as they were, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all that stuff makes a lot of sense. And refer to that. Really. Anyway, you got to have something to build your philosophy on. And that's a pretty good start, I think. It's worked for the most part. There's a lot of people wanting to tear it down, wanting to interpret everything differently, just based on the times. But it's a good place to start. So anyway, enough pontificating on that.